I'm just going to come out and say it. Most filmmakers are hopelessly disorganized. And in the long run, it costs us big time. We either forget something critical and have to compromise on set, or we force ourselves to obsess and double check every little thing. And then by the time it comes to make creative choices, we're less than our best. Today, I want to talk about how to manage the logistics of preparing for a film shoot without becoming overwhelmed by it. There is a method by which you can have everything you need at your fingertips with a minimum amount of time and effort and reserve your critical mental energy for making decisions that actually count, that actually are going to make your film better. Spoiler alert, the answer is a checklist, but probably not in the way that you're using them now. I would call myself a creative person, an organized person, but I certainly am not someone who has a high degree of attention to detail. Now, this has really cost me in the past when I've needed something and I haven't had it, and I've had to miss an opportunity or double my creative output to work around what I left at home. As the years have gone by, I've developed a method that now works almost on autopilot and has allowed me to do much more with much less. Modern film technology allows one person to do the job that was previously done by a dozen people. But the downside is that one person now has to keep track of all the gear, big and small, for 5 or more departments. We're talking camera, sound, hair and makeup, lighting, grip, art, and post-production. Each of these departments has numerous amounts of stuff that they need to function, with batteries to charge, cables to connect, and everything in between. Trying to pack all of this, even for a small shoot like a one scene I did last week, can involve over 100 individual items, all which need to be tested, packed, unpacked in a way that you can get to them at a moment's notice. The solution I have found is not a checklist, but checklists that I prepare ahead of time and I mark off as I pack my gear into the cases in which I'm going to transport it. I have a separate timber case for each type of gear, and the checklist goes with the gear, so I can check it off again as I put it back in the case. I make my checklists ahead of time, away from my studio, so I don't get distracted by all the little pieces that I need and get sidetracked when I'm putting everything together. I can keep focused on what I need to do on set and what I need for that particular scene. The camera is by far the most complex piece of equipment because all the other departments, be they sound or lighting, tend to go through the camera somehow. That's why I build and test the camera before I shoot, and then I transport it in these 10 Doctor bags already prepped. That way when I get to set, I just take it out, turn it on, and hit record. In the same bag, I have spare batteries, cleaning cloth, camera tools, and spare cables, everything that the camera needs to function in the one place. If I have multiple cameras, which I usually do because of BTS, I bring a second 10 Doctor bag with everything that second camera needs. It's usually smaller, so this is the C500 Mark II, and this is the R5C. For my tripod, stands, and tube lights, I have a different 10 rolling bag. This allows me to carry what I need in one place without having to do multiple oversized bags. If I'm flying, I take the camera bag with me as luggage on the plane, and I check this longer bag. Just like the doctor bag, the checklist stays on the case, and sometimes I'll use packing tape to actually attach it to the lid. It has these straps on the side so I can secure everything, but I've also found that if I pack it solidly enough, things won't move around. I usually get a full-size Kupo C stand in here for my key light, my Benro tripod, 3 smaller stands, 3 tubes. And even with all of that weight, I can still comfortably roll it around with one hand. As I'm packing, I will put a post-it note on every bag, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5. That way I know not only do I have all my stuff in the bags, but I have all the bags that I'm bringing. This is really, really important to do. There have been numerous times when I have packed all my bags and then in the rush to pack the car at 5 a.m. the next morning after a couple of hours sleep while you're on the phone giving someone directions, that one black bag in the corner just doesn't get noticed and doesn't get packed. So this way I know how many bags I've got to load. It's even more important if I hand that off to an assistant. I actually made it halfway to the mountain once without my snowboard. So too little sleep and too early to leave. You need a system that works. I guess the key lesson is don't trust yourself to hold things in your head. Put them on paper and make a system that is going to take care of everything if you follow it, and then follow it. There are far more advantages to this type of organizing than just keeping track of your gear and keeping it in good working order. The biggest benefit, I think, is that you don't need to keep everything in your head. You just let the system take care of getting everything there and getting everything back again. That means someone else can take care of this responsibility and free you up as the filmmaker, director, or producer to focus on using your decision power and your decision energy on things that are actually going to make a difference to the shoot. Like the shots you're going to get, the motivations of the actors, how the scene is going to play out, and how it's going to be assembled in post. Actually, something I noticed when I worked in advertising is that the director never drove themselves to set. It was just too big a use of the precious resources of the director's decisions. Basically, the director either had a driver or I was picked up by the cinematographer or the producer, and then they drove me to set while we were discussing the day. I didn't have to, use up mental energy just getting there. After your 50th or 60th or 70th decision of the day, you're not operating at your maximum efficiency, and it only gets worse from there. If you use up 20 of your good decisions of the day just to get to set, just getting the stuff in the right boxes, your performance and ultimately the film is going to suffer. So create a system, understand that create a system takes time and effort, but it's time and effort away from the set. And once you've established it, you can rely on it to get everything you need to where you're going in good working order and back again. That can really make the difference between your film and ultimately your career. Thank you to Tenba for sponsoring this video. I do use their gear and have for years, and it's never once let me down. You can see a list of the stuff that I've used in the description. It's all available from B&H. If you use their credit card, you actually save the tax, and in most places in the Northeast, like where I'm in Vermont, you get stuff pretty much next day delivered. It's a lot quicker than Amazon. I'll also drop a link to my checklists in both Numbers and Excel and PDF. So if you want to use them and alter them for your own stuff, please be my guest. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.